You're tuning into the Journey to Your Best Self podcast, where we explore the past, holistic well-being, personal growth, and living a fulfilling life. Each episode, we bring you insightful conversations, practical tools, and inspiring stories to help you integrate your mind, body, and spirit on your journey to becoming your best self. Let's dive in and embark on this journey together. And welcome back to the Journey to Your Best Self podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian O'Neill, and I'm joined by my sister and co-host, clinical hypnotherapist, certified life coach, and yoga instructor, Tara. Hello, Tara.
Hello, hello, hello.
Today we are thrilled and blessed and fortunate to have Victoria Gallagher on the show. Victoria is a worldwide leader in hypnotherapy, a best-selling author, and a very sought-after speaker and podcast guest who has dedicated her life to helping people manifest their dreams and unlock their true potential. She's the host of the Power of Your Mind podcast, which has reached listeners in over 130 countries and racked up over 1 million downloads. So that's a target for us, inspiration right there. With over 2 decades of expertise in hypnotherapy, visualization, and the law of attraction, Victoria is here to share her insights on how to align your subconscious mind with your desires, overcoming limiting beliefs, and create a life of liberty and abundance. Perfect for starting out our 2025 year. Without any further ado, Victoria, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for inviting me to your amazing podcast. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I don't think I've admitted this yet. We've only spoken shortly, but I'm almost starstruck. When I first started hypnosis, I didn't know a lot of female hypnotists, and I found your podcast, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's amazing! She's doing what I want to do." And so you were an expander for me, so helpful in me navigating this world. Personal growth, spirituality, starting your own business as a woman. So I appreciate that. So I definitely have a little bit of a personal attachment to this conversation, in addition to wanting to share it to our listeners. So thank you so much for being here.
Wow, thank you so much. That is like music to my ears. I love that. I love being that expander for people and the inspiration and, the reason why people decide to go for their dreams and their goals. And I love that. I had mine. And so it's always, I know that feeling. And so thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that with me.
And to lead right in, you were one of the OGs in the space of podcasting before it really hit off. So how did you even think? Did you get a download? Were you like, oh, let me start a podcast? Did you have someone that suggested it? How did you even go about that? That's a pretty big feat.
Yeah, that's such an interesting question because, when I first started podcasting, at that time, I actually thought it was already old news. It had seemed to be one of those slow starters, it was coming out but it seemed like, oh, maybe this isn't gonna really take off. Maybe it's already had its time. Anyway, I had just moved to Arizona and I just set up my studio in my house, and I had a friend who I had just met, and she wanted to create her own podcast, and she wanted to create these little 1-minute mini meditations. And so she asked me just before she got started in it, can I come over and use your microphone and make some recordings? And so she came over, she did it. And, of course, I have to kind of have my hands in a little bit of everything. And when she did that and I heard her podcast and I saw all of her episodes coming out, I'm like, that looks neat. I want to do that. And it literally was just a little idea off the top of my head. Took me 2 years to do my first 13 podcasts because I just wasn't even consistent about it. And but then somebody heard my podcast, a kind of a bigger deal, Christy Whitman, who was a New York Times bestselling author, and they reached out to me and wanted her to be on my show. And because I didn't even realize my show was actually kind of doing very well without having a lot of episodes. It was ranked kind of high and had all the right keywords. And it was just by accident. Like I wasn't really promoting it or anything. And when she suggested to be on my show, I was like, oh my God, that would be great. That I don't even have to like think about what what I want to say. I can just interview people. And so for a while it just kind of became like that, and I got really consistent about it, made it into a weekly podcast, and it's gone through many different phases now. I kind of go back and forth between, do I want to interview people or do I want it to be a solo podcast?
Is your friend in Arizona still going strong?
She made 60 episodes and then she said, that's it, I'm done. And and it was a kind of like an
an
addiction.
entire hour meditation, 61 minutes.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. And they were that was what she did. And she made them all in like one go, put them all out, spaced them out like, I don't know, a week apart or something like that. She would promote them on her Instagram, and that was the end of that. And
how many episodes are you up to now?
I have a little over, I want to say 325, 350,
Wow,
something like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So if you could go back to, the Victoria that was at, 13 episodes, what would you tell her? We're all in where we're supposed to be, right? But if you could give some advice to kind of that fledgling young podcast host, what would you tell her?
Back then, I think what I would want to know from my older podcast self is get some coaching. I would have wanted to get some coaching on how, because this is something I still kind of struggle with. I don't really try to monetize my podcast. And that is something that I feel like I kind of missed the boat on doing, or at least for all the episodes that are out there right now, because, your episodes are really only going to get, a lot of traction in the first month maybe, and then after that they're not going to get a whole lot. So it would have been nice to know how to really monetize them, and also I would have just thought about like being even more consistent with what is my message, what am I promoting? What am I ultimately wanting people to come away with on this show? Because that changed, like flip-flopped a lot. And that's, just typical for me anyway, because I have to be in kind of like everything. I've written all these books, got my app, multiple courses, and it's like, this is going to be the thing until I say now. So anyway, I would just have a more consistent message and a way to monetize it.
Sure.
Great advice.
Do you know your human design? Do you ever study the human design?
That has been popping up a lot lately. A lot of people have been talking about that, and I have not done that.
Okay. Well, when you do, you have to come back and tell me if you're a manifesting generator, because it sounds like they often have like their hands in everything. And I'm like, yeah, ping in a good way. It's like that helps. Like for some people that's like overwhelming, but for you, that's probably where you get some of your energy from. But speaking of manifesting, let's talk about the law of attraction and manifestation. And what was your first law of attraction experience? And for those that aren't super familiar, what is law of attraction to you? And maybe how is it different than like The Secret, the traditional? So I know that's a lot there. So take it wherever you'd like.
Okay, I'm gonna break that down to 3 questions. So the first is, what was my first manifesting experience? And I'm gonna say I was manifesting before I even knew what it was, as we all are, right? But my first real intentional manifestation experience that I didn't know was called manifesting was when I was in the 1st grade. And when I was in the 1st grade, I saw the 6th graders put on the play The Wizard of Oz. And this, I heard, this was just a traditional every year thing. The sixth graders would put that on. And so when I saw that, and I had just found out that I was kind of a good singer. My music teacher told me that I was a good singer. And so I fell in love with singing, and I saw that, and I'm like, that is perfect for me. I'm going to play Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And fast forward to the sixth grade, I tried out for the part. And, I still would think about it every single year. Every time, I would just see myself, I would visualize myself, and I would practice it all the time. And I would watch the movie, all of it. And so I tried out in the sixth grade. Well, I actually became the understudy. Somebody else got it, and I became the understudy. And so I continued to just act as if I had the leading role. And so I just would continue practicing, continue working myself. I mean, I would literally get nervous, feeling like I was actually there and performing. Well, unfortunately and unfortunately, the Dorothy got the flu, and I had to fill in. And I played the role of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And so that was my very first, I would say, manifestation.
That's wonderful. Do you have any clips of that? Can we get a video clip of that?
Back in those days, I mean, this was like early 70s, I want to say. So mid 70s. I have a couple of Polaroid pictures that are a little blurry.
That's great.
So I do have that, but no actual videos. That would have been great.
Yeah. So, okay. So it was pretty much written in the stars that you were going to be in the manifestation game.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, from that moment forward, I just continued knowing that whatever I set my mind to, I get it. So I learned early on, and unfortunately and unfortunately, I have had some disappointments. I have had to really have to play the role of the student, essentially. The student who doesn't know their power and doesn't realize that they can achieve anything and overcome the obstacles that are in their way. So I did reach a point where I hit some roadblocks. And, in business, I have reached that point multiple times. In relationships, I have reached that point multiple times. And so it taught me, and it really helped me to grow to the next level, because I'm such a go-getter and I get everything that I want. And so I tend to lead with this kind of masculine energy a lot. And what I realized is that when you hit that roadblock, that's the time you have to kind of hold back your masculine energy and don't try so hard, and bring forth a little bit more of not positive, not saying that feminine energy is positive, bring forth the feminine, detachment energy, the sort of let it go and allow things to happen, and the trusting and the patience and the peacefulness. And so it's been a little delicate dance between both of those things. But to get back to your second question about what I call the law of attraction. So I call the law of attraction essentially when your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, your vibration, your actions, and your beliefs are all in alignment with what you get, whether that be positive or negative. And so as we want those things to obviously be the positive things, so we need to work on the skill and hone the skill of being very clear and specific about what it is that we're going for. Not this wishy-washy kind of back and forth, like, well, maybe I want this or maybe I want that. We've got to have a pretty clear, defined, definite vision for what we're going for, so that we can wrap all of these conditions and qualities for manifesting around our, get our thoughts, whenever we're straying from that and starting to think about, oh, it's not happening yet, or the negative, we've got to steer that back. And same thing with the emotions. You can believe something, you can think all the positive things, but if you're not emotionally invested, if you don't have any passion or real desire, that's also going to be something that's going to hold you back, and being in that kind of neutral state of emotion. So that's essentially what I consider the law of attraction. It's just when all the things are aligned and bringing you the opportunities, the circumstances, the people that will help you to manifest this thing. And then about The Secret, is it kind of like that? I would say that The Secret, so when I saw The Secret, I had already been working with the law of attraction all these years. I mean, all the way back from reading like Think and Grow Rich and reading Shakti Gawain, Creative Visualization, reading a lot of Deepak Chopra. So I was already like really dialed into the law of attraction when I saw that movie. And I saw it from a different perspective than anyone like new coming in that hadn't really been doing that kind of work. So I was really giddy. I was really excited. I was really like, whoa, people are going to finally know about this wonderful thing. It didn't occur to me how magical they made it seem in that moment, because it's not as magical as they make it seem. It can kind of be if you're super aligned and things just happen a little bit more effortlessly, because you've already honed who you are. You're already embodying a certain level of being that is already in alignment with that. But most people aren't, there. Most people, they come to that movie as a baby, as a novice, as like, I've never done any kind of personal development. I haven't worked on my qualities. I haven't worked on my mindset or my emotions or learning how to direct my thoughts, and so they go in and they try and they think and they wish and they create their visualizations, their affirmations, and then they give it a try for a few days, maybe a few weeks, maybe even a few months, and they're like, this doesn't work. This does not work. And I'm here to tell you, you might be working at this for a few years to get it right. It's not as easy as, because it is all about working on yourself. I say that law of attraction and manifestation is about working on yourself. It's personal growth. It's getting yourself to the point where you can start to command, what you want through the way that you think, because it kind of becomes a little bit more automatic. You automate your thinking in such a way that, oh yeah, of course I'm going to feel in alignment with this. I'm going to take the actions. I'm going to, be able to listen to my intuition, because I have a little bit more of a clear channel to that. All of that, it's from years of honing and practicing that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was such a great explanation. Thank you so much. Maybe we can go back to the intention setting. So most people don't know what they want, right? We're very heavily conditioned in our society, and we're told what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to think, and what we're supposed to feel. So, aside from the big house and a lot of money and being thin, how do we figure out, what we want and set our intention? And it's a perfect, time of year, beginning of the year, to figure out clear, defined intentions, goals, or resolutions. So where would you recommend someone start?
So, and it doesn't even matter, like, so whether you're talking about relationship, whether you're talking about something in your health, or whether you're talking about something more mental. And, I kind of group all the business and financial and education things all into the mental. So, you start with kind of figuring out what it is that you don't want. Okay. Because it's so much easier for people to focus on the negative. We're just inundated with all the negative, and that's just how, not natural, but normal. That's how people normally speak. And so I say we've got to kind of clear all of that out first. We've got to kind of get in touch with what's not working. What do I want to get rid of? What are some of the top complaints that I have in this area? And then I usually, from those complaints, whatever it is that you're complaining about in that particular area, then you turn that into, what do I prefer instead in this area? So for example, let's just say that, it's in the area of health, because a lot of people start to make their health goals at the beginning of the year. And so, like, I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of getting sick all the time. Tired of, being fat, looking in the mirror and not liking what I see. I'm tired of, huffing and puffing when I'm going up the stairs, whatever it is. So you just start to, like, really get all that out on paper. Then you can convert those into, what do I do want instead? So when I go up the stairs, I want to feel strong. I want to feel energized. I want to feel well. So we turn all of these into more positive statements. And that way, now we've got a very clear, defined goal of what does it actually mean? Because so many people just say, I'm just going to get help. This is going to be my year to get healthy. It's like, well, what does that actually mean? How will you know when you're healthy? And why do you want that? Knowing why is your fuel. Knowing why is the drive. Knowing why is going to keep you motivated to continue to pursue it when it gets hard. Like today, I made a goal that I wanted to be 124 pounds. And I didn't make a goal that I want to lose weight, because you tend to find whatever you lose. But I made a goal that I wanted to be 124 pounds, not 125, 124, because I like even numbers. And 4 is my favorite number. So 4 had to get into that equation. And, my why is, because, I have worked so hard to stay in shape my whole life, and I, I love the way my clothes fit. I love being able to go into a clothing store like I got to do last weekend. My husband promised me a little shopping spree when I hit my goal weight. And trust me, he loves my curves. Like, he's totally fine with me if I was 160 pounds. He'd be totally happy. It's all me. But he wanted to reward me because he saw what I had to do to get there. And, I loved that all the clothes, they were the smallest size that you could find. Like, literally, like, there was a 0 and I fit into that. I love that. I love looking in the mirror and having my clothes be like loose. So, having just those those little whys, rather than just, oh, because I just feel good or because I'm healthy. And those are all great reasons too, but just really having a juicy why is going to keep you, like on those days when it's like, oh God, I don't feel like getting out and going for that walk. It's freezing outside. It's 66 degrees. It's freezing. It's a joke. I live in Arizona.
Yeah. We're dealing with 19 over here, so yeah, we're not feeling that bad, but yeah, we totally get it.
You haven't felt nothing until 120 drops down to 66. Yeah. It's like, that feels so cold.
Sure. No, yeah, just teasing. And that's also how you reached your goal, right? So when you were like, how am I going to know? Well, obviously you're going to know because there's a number on the scale, but you're going to also know because you have that feeling, your clothes are loose, you're fitting into the 0. So that would be a good example of how you'd know, right?
How you'd know, absolutely. And that's what I always ask my coaching clients, like, how will you know? Because so a lot of people they make these intangible goals too for being happy or being confident or being disciplined or being motivated. And it's like, okay, we got to put some kind of number on this. And when I say number, there's a scale of not having that and having that. And so, whether that scale is a number or if it's just something some action that you find yourself taking, or if it's just there's something in your space, there's maybe a way that people interact with you differently, whatever that is, we want to know, like, well, how is the world going to show you? How will I know if if I looked at you or I listened to you, I interacted with you, how am I going to know that you are at that goal? And so, because sometimes, people want, you to be mind reader, and so, but if I am not clear, then guess what else is not clear? The subconscious mind. And so we have to always be thinking in terms of like, well, am I giving the message that I want to give to my subconscious mind? Because if it's like this blurry thing, well, that's, input in, out is the output that you're going to get. And so whatever you're saying, that you're feeding that into your subconscious mind over and over again. And if it's muddy and it's unclear, that's the result.
Yeah, at that point, you're really hamstring yourself and you're not bringing 100% of yourself to reach that goal, right? If you are unclear, your whole being is not working towards that, right? I was talking with somebody who said, he was like, oh, you're wearing shorts. It was like, I was out usually not wearing shorts and like Under Armour gear underneath. I was like, oh yeah, New Year's resolution, working out. And he says, oh yeah, well, I think I'm about trying to lose some weight. And I said, I don't need to be Victoria Gallagher to tell you that sounds like the vaguest manifestation I've ever heard. And that is definitely not going to happen. I'm going to see you next week and you're going to say, I lost 1 pound. I hit it. And he's like, oh yeah, you're probably right. And, you have to be really focused and specific with this stuff, even, from a health and wellness perspective. They always say and there's small victories too, right? If you wanted to get down to size 0 and you started at 10, 12, you said, all right, within a month or 60 days, I'm going to get down to size 8. And then you'll just feel better. You'll get that rush, those endorphins and everything will happen. And it's those objectives as you're heading towards your goals without even being in your world of the subconscious. It's just definite. You have to put specific numbers and labels on this stuff. You can't just say, like you said, Oh, I'm just going to get healthy. Oh, I'm going to eat healthy. What does that
Right.
even mean? What are you replacing? What are you taking out of your diet? I'm just going to listen more, be a better person this year. What does that mean, right? To who? What new traits, characteristics? What are you going to bring to the table? How are you going to help others specifically? We're a couple weeks out into the year. Hear these things about failure Friday. I've heard a couple times this 14th of January. There's certain times where 60% or 40% of people lose their resolution by then. Is the biggest thing that you notice when people start to get that itch and this, after Thanksgiving, December, January, they're all about it, and then they start to peter off and the gym's empty. Is the biggest thing you notice that they don't have, like you had just said, your experience, they don't have the specifics? They don't have the support system. What are some of the mistakes people are making where they're not even getting through February with that consistency?
Yeah, it's all of that. The biggest thing that people do not understand is they have this intention. They have this great idea. It's not even necessarily intention, it's just an idea. And because there's world of difference between taking it from an idea to an intention. So they have an idea, but they are down deep inside. They're dealing with the fear of the unknown, and they are also dealing with past limiting beliefs and past programming that says, even though they may not consciously be in touch with this, down deep inside, they know we've been here before. We tried this last year. We tried this year before. I don't even know if I'm even really committed to this. I'm just I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put it out there because that's the thing that you're supposed to do after the first of the year. We're all supposed to make these goals. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and make a goal. But you know what? I'm not gonna like really put myself out there and really say that I'm and get specific. And it's not intentional. They're not like when I say that, I'm saying what the subconscious mind is saying. I'm not saying that they are even hearing any of that. They have, good intention, but they have not wired this into their subconscious mind. What they have wired into their subconscious mind is all the other times that they have failed. And so, what people don't understand is that when you make a decision like that, you're making it from your conscious part of your mind. Your conscious mind is only about a fraction of your whole mind. It's just this like little part of your mind that's just there just to get you through the moment. It is not a part of your mind that was intended to create permanent change. As a matter of fact, permanent change to the subconscious mind, or to the critical factor, which is like kind of the guard gate between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. That part of your mind blocks information from getting into the subconscious mind. So you say, I am going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to eat healthy. Your subconscious mind's not even on board with that. Your subconscious mind has an entirely different agenda. Your subconscious mind is programmed to keep everything the exact same way, and that is for safety. That is, you're supposed to be comfortable, like not supposed to be, but that's what it is designed to do, is to keep you in this comfort zone, the safe zone. Because if you get in there and you start messing around with things, you could mess up the constancy of your whole system, which is the subconscious mind's job, is to keep the constancy of your heart beating, of your eyes blinking, of the blood running through your veins, of all of the systems in your body. That's its job. So it's not really keen on just letting you come on in and say, oh, we're going to make this change. It needs to know that you are absolutely serious about this change. And so that's where we kind of trick the critical factor by relaxing and letting it let the suggestions in to go in there and say, hey, you know what? We are going to go ahead and reprogram you. And that's where, we as hypnotists, that's where we take over and, go in and do that rewiring. And so that's why you can't. It's almost impossible. You are fighting against something that is so big, that is so powerful, that is so much that is running so many important parts of your being, that it's almost impossible to make a change without getting the subconscious mind on board first. And rarely we see our grandmother die of cancer, and so now we had this heightened emotional response, and during these heightened emotional responses, you make these decisions, and these decisions are much easier to make when you're in that heightened emotional response. So you'll find that during these moments, people do make changes, but you don't have to get to that point.
Yeah, this is big right here, and I think like I'll cue this up for Tara because you're like it's going right into like her brain, and she's like, I think she's humming right now.
Yeah.
Is this an evolution? As somebody who is not as seasoned in this world, is it an evolution of thought on your part where it seems that early practitioners of kind of the law of attraction might just think that's all you really need to get this done. So in this space and in all spaces, things get popular and hot over decades, and then there's cycles, and then they come back around, right? You were saying when things like The Secret, Promise become more mainstream, and in the popular culture, people like you might think, well, I've been kind of trying to tell people about this for years, and now it's reoccurring again. But in its purest form, not that I'm an expert in the earliest days, you would think that people might be espousing that this is all you need just to believe, think positive, and it'll kind of happen to me. Like there is a magical element of it. But what you're saying is that to really take it to the next level, and like I don't know if it's strengthening those cables or giving yourself a better chance to make that manifestation happen, or to amplify it, or to make you successful, or to make it longer lasting. You have to go deeper and get your whole being almost on board with it. And Tara can take over from there. But so is that an evolution in your thinking as well? Or you always had the idea of having the hypnosis and the subconscious mind working with the law of attraction?
It is an interesting question because I don't know exactly which came first, the chicken or the egg, because I've sort of had this dance back and forth between experiencing what I knew about hypnosis. I mean, from the time that I read this book called Total Self-Confidence when I was 18, and that book sort of covered it all. It did actually mention hypnosis, and it did mention the law of attraction. And somewhere along the way, when I became a hypnotherapist back in 1999, and I already was really familiar with visualizing and magnetizing and energy and vibration and all of those things. So when I was making all my little recordings back then, I would say these things. Like I would say, all right, now visualize the magnetic energy around your body, and you are now feeling how you would need to feel, and you are thinking these thoughts, and you are taking these actions. And so I somehow kind of knew naturally, organically, maybe just from all the various different books and teachers that I had, that this is how you change. And so I got so many great reviews on my recordings, because obviously they were really hitting the good place, and they were working, and they were effective. I did not know at the time that that was kind of advanced for my time. I didn't know that other hypnotherapists, there were actually, when I started really bringing law of attraction, I wrote my book and all of that, a lot of hypnotherapists in my community, they're like, what is this law of attraction? Like, they really poo-pooed that idea. And I was like, that's surprising. That's really surprising that you would not, regard law of attraction at the same level as I do, because don't you understand? I mean, to put down law of attraction is to like really not understand exactly how the subconscious mind works, because we are attracting, let me just say this for the people in the back, we are attracting what we hold in our subconscious mind. Therefore, if you are a hypnotherapist and you are programming things into somebody's subconscious mind, thereby you are using the law of attraction. You are hoping for the results to mirror whatever the person is holding in their subconscious mind. You're programming that in. So you hope that the law of attraction does work. And so I don't know, it was just kind of like, I just made that connection pretty early on. And like when The Secret came out, that did kind of allow me to like say, oh, I can now use this vocabulary with people, and people are going to know what I mean when I say the law of attraction.
Yeah, that's amazing. That you really, even now to this day, that which is going to be my next question, is how do you go about explaining hypnosis currently? I mean, it's a little bit more, people talk now about manifestation, people talk about the subconscious mind, and that's wonderful. I did want to go back to when you guys were talking about the intention setting and like how we need to directly specify what we want to change. Like, not just like, yeah, I'm going to lose a little bit of weight. Or I remember when somebody gave me the example of going out to eat, and it would be like going out to eat and asking the waiter to give me something that tastes good. Right. And so, you ask the waiter that, and you have no idea what's going to come back. Right. Maybe you get a little more specific. Yeah, give me something with protein. Right. But eventually, like if you say, like, I want the fish, I want the salmon, the, pistachio encrusted salmon, you are going to get it. Right. So, I think of that, and I try to tell people, like, if you don't order it, you are not going to get it. Wow. And it's okay. Like if you say, I want the salmon, and it comes out a different flavor. Oh, I like that a little better. Like, that's fine. Once you're like, if you're playing with it in that way. But I always think of that, like, think about ordering. Like if you're ordering at a restaurant, what would you say? Well, you give me something healthy, know?
And as somebody who's been very strict in my, in my diet, please note you can also order off the menu and make all kinds of
even better. Yes, right. I don't want no oil, whatever.
No oil, no butter, just plain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that typical Victoria Gallagher when she's going next level. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's break it down for people, because I do want hypnotherapy, hypnosis, subconscious work to be accessible to everyone. How do you talk about it to those, and I was really fortunate to go to school in LA, and I had teachers that knew about energy and the laws of the universe, and I was really, really lucky. But I've heard of some, hypnosis courses that are not very dynamic. So how would you explain to somebody what hypnosis is that doesn't know what it is, or only it went to a stage hypnotist once before?
Right. The way I typically explain hypnosis is okay. So, without having an understanding of what the conscious mind is and the subconscious mind, is really difficult to know what hypnosis is. So, usually, and we just kind of went over a little bit, but the conscious mind, is that decision maker. It is that analytical, part of your mind that kind of gets you through the day. So it's like taking those ideas that you have consciously and, relaxing the mind to a point where subconscious mind is now open and can receive those suggestions. And, to like kind of explain it a little bit in brainwave terms. So, we spend most of our waking time in a brainwave state where the brainwaves are predominantly beta waves. And those beta waves, are kind of fast, quick frequencies. And it's that sharp thinking. It's that, really like analytical, sharp thinking. When you relax the mind, and you can just do that easily by closing your eyes, taking a few deep breaths, imagining your body relaxing from head to toe. And literally in about 5 minutes, just by doing that, you can slow your brain waves down to a level of alpha. Which is just below beta. And in that state, you're not quite as receptive as you are in theta, but you can actually begin to reprogram the mind because you're blocking out all the outside distractions and you're focused and you're visualizing. And when you visualize, here's one thing that happens. When you visualize, it is as if whatever you are visualizing is happening in reality because your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what you're seeing. And there's scientific reasons, for that. But your subconscious mind just believes whatever it is that it's seeing. And athletes, Olympic athletes do this. They use it, and they can like literally improve getting better at their sports. You can do this before test taking. You can do this you can do this to relax yourself before giving a public speech. You can visualize yourself giving a better speech or before sitting down for an interview or an important appointment. So that in and of itself is a way to hypnotize yourself. Taking it one step deeper, you could give yourself all the suggestions to like really relax even deeper, taking about 15 to maybe 20 minutes to allow the mind to relax even more deeply into a state of theta. And when the mind has the theta waves going, it is the perfect level of mind for receptivity. And it just gobbles up the suggestions. It just says, oh, okay, I like this. This is good. I believe that, and it's no longer resisting or putting up that, because you tell yourself, it's like, this year you're gonna double your income this year. Right? And then in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm not sure about that. I've tried that before. No, it's not. But then when you're in this theta state, that voice tends to go away and you're able to receive it and believe it. And is it like magic overnight? No, you need to actually do it enough times. It's different for everyone, just depending on so many factors, depending on how far away from being able to believe this thing you actually are, from, how receptive you are to the suggestions, to how, some people are a little bit more analytical, so it takes them a little bit longer to accept and receive and allow those suggestions to go in. So, I usually recommend that people take 21 to 30 days to make some kind of a change, if not longer, but typically about that length of time. But that's kind of how and why it works. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, no, that's great because I think just the more that people can get on board and hear that over and over and in various ways from various people, then finally it might be like, oh, okay, let me try it. And so I
Absolutely.
really
Yeah.
appreciate that. I like to ask, aside from your book, which we will definitely get the link for everyone to check out, can you recommend a book that was really important for you or inspirational or just a way of changing something in your life, pivotal moment? It sounds like you probably had a lot, but could you recommend one or two to our listeners that everyone should read at some point?
I'm gonna actually say three, and there are three that I actually already mentioned. And I'm gonna just mention them again because they really were that important. The first one was Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. The second one was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The third one, what was the other? Oh yeah, the third one, and this was the first one I ever read, was Total Self-Confidence by Dr. Robert Anthony. And all three of these books, I mean, they are life-changing books, of course, besides mine. Um, but they are absolutely, I mean, they definitely were very instrumental in my path, especially since Total Self Confidence was the very first self help book I ever read. And, based on the title of the book, you can understand why I needed to read that. You can probably look at me today and realize, okay, I got what I needed to get out of that book. And, but it is one that I return to often, because it just, it has it all. It really just has it all. And it was like a $4.95 book at the time that my mother sent it to me when I was 18. And I mean, I read it, devoured it cover to cover, wrote in all the little lines in the book, and it was really great.
That's
That's
amazing.
excellent. A couple more things that I had. One, we talked about needing the focus and the specificity and really dialing in on the specific goal that people have. Can you speak a little bit about the importance of having a coach, a guru, mentor, like a super sponsor, someone to help you whenever you're trying to better yourself or embark on a journey? We talked about the dearth of men in this space. And I think one of the reasons that they don't reach out is traditionally they've had this idea of just doing it on their own, powering through, right? Willpower, lace up your bootstraps, I got this. But can you talk a little bit about the importance of having somebody that has been there, done that to help you, get to where you want to go?
Absolutely. And I want to speak to that exact thing that you mentioned too, because I can personally relate to it. Being somebody who has been doing this work for the past almost, gosh, um, 40 years, since I was 18. I come up against my own oh, I mean, I've been doing this work for so long. Like, what is anybody gonna tell me that I don't already know, right? And yet, the thing about that is that we all, no matter how uh, much you think that you've studied yourself, we all have blind spots. We all have parts of ourselves that we are blind to, that we do not see. And, if wherever you are right now, you are where you are either because you're in a comfort zone or because you don't know what it is that you need to change. And most of the time, it's kind of a combination of the two. And so a coach can help you with not only helping you to get out of your comfort zone, but also, they're usually somebody who has been down the path. They're a few steps ahead of you. They've done the things that you want to achieve. And so they can help clear the pathway for you to get yourself out of your own way, because you have everything inside of you that it takes to succeed. You just sometimes need somebody to shine a flashlight into those places within you that are blocked and help to light the way so that you can find your way out. And that's essentially what a coach does.
Excellent. So one thing that I always love to ask is non-negotiables. You've been super successful, author, podcast killing it, over 300 episodes, wide-reaching, helping so many people. Still fit into your graduation gown, as attested by your shopping spree in the petite section, right? So your wedding dress that's looking better and everything. You're really a great kind of role model of how the law of attraction can, work for people. What are some of the things that you do to keep you going forward, that you have to do every day or at least once a week? First thing when you wake up in the morning to keep you headed on that journey to even more success?
Lots of coffee. No. I love coffee. But no, I am on a non-negotiable, I meditate every single morning. I mean, this is something I tell people to do, and if you tell people to do things, you have to do it yourself. So I have literally a non-broken meditation streak now going on for, I think, 1,450 days or something like that. And that just means that
Wow, excellent.
I missed a day after I had probably achieved 1,000 before that. But this is my longest streak. So I meditate every morning. I do hypnosis. That I distinguish the two between meditation is a little bit less direction and just a little bit more, sometimes it's just silent and listening, and hypnosis and doing, actually reprogramming my mind. So those are non-negotiables. Journaling, pretty much almost every day. I try to do that every day. And same thing with reading and then getting out and doing some kind of physical activity. I've got a beautiful hiking right down the street where I live. And so it's just so cold right now. That's the only thing. I don't like being cold. So
you can reprogram your mind to love the cold, right?
You know what? I could. I definitely could do that. But those are my main.
But there's also, there's also the, while I love the new energy of the new year and setting, goals and intention, there's also the seasonal aspect of winter that is to go inward and to slow down. Do you agree?
I do believe that every season, if you are really following the cycle spiritually and with your body, I do believe that we are meant to hibernate a little bit in the winter and slow down and be more vibrant and blossom in the spring and really go along with, and the same thing with the night and the day. The evening is for slowing down, and the morning is also for rising and and setting your intention and doing what the sun does. And so I believe if you're really, really in alignment with the universe, that can definitely open up a lot of new pathways for you.
So good time for setting intentions and planting those seeds.
Absolutely. Yes. And then in the fall we harvest.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a lot. I mean, some staples and definitely all reliable things, the journaling, the meditation. Now we did veer off into the seasonal, so maybe I can get this answered. We'll edit it out if no one else can know, if it's your edge in the industry. But what is the power of blue?
What is the power of blue?
Because I see you in blue a lot when you're interviewing or promoting something or talking online. So is it just your favorite color, or
teal is my favorite
gotcha.
color, and I'm really happy to know that somebody has seen my teal, because I don't normally get that comment or that feedback. But it's been one of my favorite colors even before I became a hypnotherapist. But green is a very healing color, and blue brings the relaxation. And so, this actually, even though it was my favorite color long before I became, a healer, they are very healing and restorative colors. You wouldn't necessarily want to bring the red or the yellow or, in my field, because it's just, we're all about relaxing and
Absolutely.
unless I was on stage, giving a very energizing talk about energy and raising your vibration, then you might want to wear like an orange or a yellow or a red.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad we're still recording. When my wife listens, she'll know that I noticed teal, and she says I don't see these things, right? Come on. Thank you so much. We've been, blessed to have Victoria Gallagher with us today. Victoria, where can people find out more about you? Where are some of your favorite spots online to promote things, and what will they find when they get there? Can you give them a little preview?
Absolutely. All right. So my website technically should cover it all. It's victoriamgallagher.com. But I also recently, it's been almost a year now, almost a year ago, I launched my Believe app, my Believe Hypnosis app. And you can find that at believehypnosis.app. And that gives you access to all these powerful tools that we just talked about. There are over 1,000 hypnosis, meditations, affirmations, and growing. I can't do enough recording. It's like I love, love, love what I do. And I've just been getting even more creative with, just really supporting my entrepreneurial people, with their dreams and their ambitions to make money, have success, find great guests for their podcasts. I even have something on that, write amazing content, just all of the things. And so, yeah, it's a great app. I would just kind of leave it at that. Don't want to overwhelm your audience too much with too many places. Try to keep it simple.
No, definitely check that out. And you can get that right at the Google Play Store, right, or wherever you download your apps, and believehypnosis.app. Victoria M. Gallagher. Is that M for manifestation? Gallagher.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. I might change my middle name.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you. Please do stay in touch, and best wishes for this 2025.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure meeting you, Brian. It's a pleasure meeting you also, Tara. And may our paths cross again, and may you be blessed with an amazing 2025.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the people that you've helped. It's myself included, and the many more to come. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Journey to Your Best Self podcast. We appreciate you being part of this community. For more resources, insights, and ways to connect, head over to youroneself.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and Overcast. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep aligning your mind, body, and spirit, and peace, love, and self-discovery.